Welcome to the Sci-Fi Evolution channel. Admiral Zephyr of the Galactic Coalition shifted restlessly in his exosuit, preparing for a diplomatic mission to Terra. Even with the help of the escorts, every step felt like wading through thick liquid. The mechanical limbs of the exosuit were working at their limits, compensating for the powerful pull of Terra, but even their efforts could not completely eliminate the feeling of tremendous resistance. Admiral Zephyr said, "Captain Lyra, our Terran contact, is waiting for us at the Cultural Exchange Center." Zephyr has been studying the Terrans very carefully since their sudden appearance on the galactic arena 50 cycles ago. The Terran race has been the subject of intense interest, having emerged with advanced FTL engines literally overnight, bypassing centuries of gradual technological development that other species required. The Cultural Center was a huge facility designed to introduce Terran art, music, and entertainment to high-ranking guests. Zephyr was only partially interested in this, since his main goal was to assess the military potential of the Terrans. The Wigamoni Council still has not made a final decision on the potential threat that Terrans could pose to their empire. Not far from the entrance, past rows of holographic installations displaying ancient Terran rituals and futuristic musical instruments, Admiral Zephyr felt a certain frustration. He understood the importance of cultural exchange, but his mind was focused on more pressing security issues. He was tasked with gathering as much information as possible about the military capabilities of this new, unpredictable force in the galaxy. Every step in this center, filled with bright colors and unusual sounds, seemed like a step into the unknown, confirming how little the Galactic Coalition actually knew about Terrans. Zephyr, inside his exosuit, was intrigued by a young Terran, perhaps 12 years old by their standards, who was operating the holographic controls with amazing speed. The boy sat inside what looked like a simulation capsule, surrounded by floating displays showing spaceships engaged in intricate combat maneuvers. Zephyr slowly approached, his 6 eyes focused through the suit's visor. "What kind of device is this? What is it?" he asked the employee standing next to him. "It's just a game setup," the woman replied. "This is Timmy. He comes here after school almost every day to play Star Command. This is quite popular with children his age." Initially, children's entertainment seemed to have no strategic importance, but over time, as his professional outlook developed, Zephyr began to notice that the boy was not just playing chaotically. Instead, the formations of the ships on the screen reflected real military tactics, and the tactical responses and resource allocation were even more alarming. They were specifically countering the Wigamoni's combat tactics, which were classified. Watching Timmy, Zephyr felt a growing sense of unease. What at first seemed like innocent entertainment has now acquired a sinister connotation. The secret protocols of Wigamoni, developed over thousands of years and known only to select tactics, were used here as targets in a child's game. It was either an incredible coincidence or something much deeper. The thought that Terrans could have such an intuitive ability to analyze and counteract made Admiral Zephyr feel a chill down his spine. He had to figure out where they got this knowledge from. Zephyr asked about the availability of the game. The boy casually replied that it had been around for about 5 cycles, and a new version was released every cycle. The developers have added more alien civilizations and ship designs. Zephyr watched as Timmy effortlessly defeated the simulated fleet, using maneuvers that would have taken centuries for Wigamoni tacticians to develop. The boy performed a pincer maneuver that shouldn't have been possible given the configuration of the ships, but it worked flawlessly. "I'm sorry, young friend," Zephyr said, his voice sounding friendly through the translator. Timmy looked up, startled by the sudden appearance of the aliens, but his innate adaptability took over. "I'm in the top 100 players worldwide," Timmy replied. "May I observe your technique? I'm curious about Terran entertainment," Zephyr replied. "Of course, I'm currently participating in combat simulations against the Vrai Empire." They are formidable opponents using quantum displacement tactics. Quantum displacement is a theoretical concept that Wigamony has only recently begun to explore in its most advanced research centers. This kid was casually discussing her, antagonizing her in the game. Where do the game developers get these ideas from? Zephyr asked casually, trying to sound casual. Zephyr replied, they make the game realistic because it helps identify people with natural talent. Timmy didn't take his eyes off his display. Many of them used to work for the Space Protection Initiative. He performed another impossible maneuver, destroying 3 enemy flagships at the same time. My sister was recruited. In the previous cycle, having reached the world ranking, Zephyr took his breath away. He had been selected for the real Navy and was now operating a destroyer. He noticed that it was easier in real life than in the game, as he had a full crew to help instead of having to handle everything himself. This realization hit Zephyr like a gravitational wave. It wasn't just entertainment. It was training, evaluation, and recruitment. If Terran children could counter the tactics his kind had spent millennia developing, were they ever defeated by simulated Wigamony fleets? Those are the easy ones, Timmy laughed. They always follow the same patterns. Zephyr thanked the boy and walked away, his thoughts racing. He needed to contact the council immediately. His report will require significant revision later. On board his ship, Admiral Zephyr addressed an emergency transmission of advice. The Kumans are not just lucky technological savants. The realization hit him with such force that he could barely breathe. All his previous assumptions about Terrans had collapsed. They didn't just stumble upon cutting-edge technologies by accident. They actively developed them, and in the most unexpected and ingenious way. A system that allowed children to become military geniuses through games was something that Wigamony could not even imagine. They have turned the war into a public competition that identifies and develops talents from the entire population. Their children interact with concepts that even our most brilliant minds can barely comprehend. Of course you're exaggerating, the council elder replied. Games cannot reproduce the realities of the interstellar war. With all due respect, elder, I think we are mistaken. For decades, we have been training selected individuals from privileged backgrounds for specific roles, turning their entire species into an ongoing military assessment program disguised as entertainment. Zephyr paused, choosing his next words carefully. Diplomacy is our only viable option. If the Terrans become hostile, I have seen a child who has not received basic education bypass our most experienced combat doctrine without losing concentration. Imagine what their real naval commanders can do. When the broadcast ended, Zephyr looked at the blue-green planet below. He realized, Zephyr, assessing the potential danger, discovered something much deeper. A species that turned the game into a force, treating it as games of what others considered sacred military knowledge. The Wigamony has existed for 50,000 cycles, slowly and systematically spreading across the galaxy, now facing the Terrans and their peculiar approach to war. Zephyr wondered if their centuries-old dominance was finally going to face a significant challenge, and all because he was watching a child play. His gaze swept over the monitor, which was still displaying the latest Terra data. In front of him lay a whole new philosophy of war, embodied in every game controller, in every child's laugh. It wasn't just military superiority. It was cultural superiority, capable of appending everything the Wigamony knew about strength and power. Perhaps the future of the galaxy will be determined not by the size of fleets, but by the ability to adapt and innovate, even if they come from the most unexpected sources.